Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches, where today I'm going to be talking about the 2009 science fiction action film Prototype. This film is about a young man named Alex whose life is not going terribly well. He has a dead end job with a boss who constantly victimizes him. His girlfriend may also be cheating on him with said abusive boss, and the girlfriend also frequently mooches money off Alex. But let's not stop there with the misery party, because Alex's mother is dead and his stepfather is physically abusive, slapping him around. Basically, everything is awful. It's kind of like, the inverse of the Lego movie. Pretty much the only comforts in Alex's life are religion. He's an avid churchgoer and believes that God has a purpose for him if only he can find it, and the one friend he has who doesn't just use and abuse him. Said friend, it turns out, is a bit of a genius because he invents a pair of gloves that allow the wearer to employ telekinetic powers of immense force. He shows the gloves to Alex, but insists on locking them away again after Alex's first attempt to use the gloves is unintentionally destructive. As Alex's life continues to get worse, he becomes convinced that the gloves are the only thing that will allow him to break out of this cycle and also to right the wrongs of the world. By which I mean, you know, assault and kill the people who have been mean to him. Now, I'll be honest, almost all of the people in Alex's life are pretty horrible, but murdering them does not seem a proportionate response. So, will Alex go through with this rampage? Or will he see the error of indulging in these violent impulses? Or will somebody step forward to stop him? More importantly, will you care about the answers to any of these questions? Because I know I didn't. Now, one thing I think I should mention up front is that the square brackets around this film's name, as shown on the packaging, do not appear in the actual on screen titles. I suspect they were added to the marketing as an attempt to cash in on the successful video game released the same year, which also used the same brackets as part of its trade dress. You can see the similarity on your screens right now. Now, video game adaptations generally have a poor reputation for quality, which was especially true in 2009 when Hitman, Far Cry, and Max Payne had all recently bombed with critics. So deliberately aligning your movie to look like a video game adaptation, despite the fact that the film has nothing to do with the game, might seem like a strange strategy. But perhaps the makers of this film were aware of the fact that Hitman had thumbed its nose at its negative critical reception, shooting to a $100 million box office worldwide off a budget roughly one quarter of that figure. So if the makers of this movie could trick fans of the game into seeing the film on the mistaken impression that the two were related, they could make mucho dinero. Now, of course, the fact that create false expectations about this movie appears to be the core of their marketing strategy, you might suspect that the film doesn't have much else to sell itself on, and you would be right, because Prototype is a complete mess. So the core thing that drives this film's narrative is Alex's desire to wreak bloody vengeance on those who have wronged him. Now, at the risk of making a bold moral statement, I'm going to just come out and say it. I think killing people is a bad thing to do. So, if Alex is killing people, is he the villain? Well, I don't think that the movie has really considered that possibility. I think they just thought they were making a revenge film. And revenge films are admittedly a common enough Hollywood staple. Think of The Crow or Death Wish. In those films, we are supposed to cheer on the protagonists of the movie as they slaughter their enemies. So it seems like this film may expect us to cheer Alex. The thing is, in the other two films I just named, the crimes that were committed against the lead character are, rape and murder of family members. That's a lot more extreme. And in the case of The Crow, murder of the actual main character. He just comes back from the dead. That's a lot more extreme than what Alex has suffered. And they were traumatic, unexpected events that occurred and sort of unleashed pathological response. Alex, meanwhile, has had many opportunities to improve his lot in life. He could, for instance, end things with his exploitative girlfriend. He could look for another job. His decision instead to go straight to murder rampage is not sufficiently justified to my mind. Now, I do have to acknowledge that there was one moment in this movie where I felt a glimmer of hope that it would do something interesting and thoughtful. You see, the film includes a subplot about the local sheriff. Said sheriff is divorced due to his own adulterous activities. But now his ex-wife is about to remarry, and initially the sheriff reacts to this news in a very toxic fashion. For example, he uses his position of authority to harass his ex-wife's new fiancée. But after his ex confronts the sheriff about how out of line his behaviour is, he belatedly comes to realization that he is misusing his power and that he needs to try to do better. And perhaps for about 5 minutes, I thought this could be quite cool. The movie's just juxtaposed these two guys' stories quite effectively. Alex isn't the protagonist, the sheriff is. He's the one who has learned something about himself and who is going through some character growth and who is responding to, admittedly, comparatively low-level trauma much more positively, which just goes to show that even after watching literally thousands of terrible movies, I still hold on to a naive hope that they'll do something good. Because alas, the movie doesn't pull the trigger on that parallel. I'm not sure the makers of the film even realised that they had set up that parallel. So what does the movie do instead? How does it wrap up if it is blithely ignored or not even noticed the one possible theme it could have developed? Well, the answer is that it does nothing. And I do mean nothing. You see, having set up the situation where both Alex and the sheriff have one of the telekinesis gloves, which you might think would lead to a big, sort of superhero style telekinesis versus telekinesis battle, the movie just stops. Roll credits, all done. Were they hoping for a sequel? Was this a backdoor pilot? Did they run out of money? I don't know. And honestly, at the end of the day, I don't much care either. I wouldn't be watching any more if there was of it. At the end of the day, I watched Prototype so that you don't have to. Stay well away from this film. Next time, something a bit different. A filmed version of a stage show. It's the 2023 production The Prince, which was written and stars Abigail Thorne, who is best known for her successful channel here on YouTube, PhilosophyTube. But that is next time. Until then, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've had the misfortune of seeing Prototype, let me know what you thought of it.